Hello and welcome to episode 138 of the How to Survive podcast. My name is Joe and my podcast co-host was rumoured to be played by Nina Dobrev, Emma Watson, Jennifer Lawrence, Ashley Greene, Saoirse Ronan, Emily Browning, Elizabeth Olsen, Gemma Arterton, Nikki Reed, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, Jessica Biel, Sienna Miller, Megan Fox, Rosario Dawson, Summer Glau, Kate Beckinsale, Daisy Ridley, Rona Mitra, and Alexandra Daddario, before settling on Chris Morris, who plays Chris Morris. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Fun fact for you there. You're Chris Morris.
I am, yeah.
Not Lara
Famously,
Croft.
yeah. Yes, Chris Morris, podcaster.
Yeah.
Not Lara Croft. Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider is the movie this week. That's the 2018 version, not the Angelina Jolie versions or the video games.
No, and of course, anyone listening at home will be going, well, of course, I know it's not the Angelina Jolie version because that had the prefix Lara Croft, i.e. Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Yeah, and the sequel, Lara Croft Tomb Raider,
The Cradle of Life. Yeah. Starring Angelina Jolie and Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
In that one.
An early role for him. We're not covering that, we're covering the Dominic West as the leading man in this one.
Yeah, he's definitely the main actor in it.
Yeah. Dominic West's Tomb Raider. Alicia Vikander plays Lara Croft.
Yeah.
Excellently. And we'll discuss it at length. And we'll discuss how we'd survive if we were to be called upon to raid a tomb. There will be spoilers ahead. The movie is still in theatres around the world. Or possibly it's out on DVD. I don't know. I don't know when you're listening to this.
Depends when you're listening to it.
Yeah, exactly. But do seek it out. It's a fine romp through the jungle and full of excitement. We're going to discuss the ins and outs of the movie, what we liked, what we didn't like, so we can understand how best to survive in the film. And all that is coming up after this brief message.
What's your name?
Lara
Surname?
Croft. Lara, your father's gone. You can pick up where he left off. I see so much of him in you. Brilliant.
Hello, Sprout. If you're listening to this, then I must be dead. I found something. A tomb called the Mother of Death. If Trinity succeeds, our world is in danger. Promise me you will stop them.
I promise.
I think I know where my dad went.
That's right in the middle of the Devil's Sea.
It will be an adventure.
Death is not an adventure.
So, Tomb Raider. Here's a quick plot recap for anyone who hasn't seen it or hasn't seen it recently. Lord Richard Croft has disappeared on a trip to uncover the tomb of Empress Himiko, a Japanese queen who was deemed to be possessed by demons as everyone she touched immediately died a violent death. The trip took him to a remote island off the coast of Japan, and he was never heard from again. His daughter, Lara, spent the intervening years trying to lead a normal life, ignoring her inherited wealth and battling to make ends meet as a bicycle courier. After being arrested during a bicycle race to earn money to pay for kickboxing tuition, Lara is met by her father's business partner, Anna, who informs her that if she doesn't sign a letter acknowledging her father's death, she will be unable to inherit the Croft fortune and the entire estate will be sold off. Lara attends a meeting with the family's trust manager, and a wooden puzzle is given to her, which has been left to her by her father in the event of his death. The puzzle is solved immediately and grants her access to a hidden room under the family mausoleum. She there learns about his secret life as an adventurer and finds a tape urging her to burn his research on Himiko. Instead, Lara works out where her father might be and sets off around the world to find him. In Hong Kong, she enlists the help of Lu Ren, the son of a captain who Richard Croft had hired to secure passage to the remote island. After some bartering, Lu Ren agrees to help Lara, and they set off. Their ship is hit by a storm, and they are shipwrecked. Lara makes it to shore, but is immediately knocked unconscious by a shadowy figure.
Yeah.
She wakes in the tent of Matthias Vogel, whose actual actor's name is probably the better character name. Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a name.
Strange.
He claims to have been on the island for the same amount of time that her father has been missing. He immediately confesses to killing Richard Croft and reveals that he is part of an organisation known as Trinity and is seeking the tomb of Himiko. The location has eluded him thus far, but now Lara has brought him the location, which was in the notes in her backpack.
Yeah, which she did not burn.
She didn't. Lara learns that dozens of shipwreck survivors and victims of human trafficking have been brought in as slave labour to help the excavations on the island. They're held at gunpoint by burly guards, all working for Vogel and Trinity. She learns that Lu Ren survived the shipwreck too, but was enslaved. Lu Ren helps stage an escape, and Lara runs into the woods. After various scrapes, falls, and a ride over a waterfall in a crashed plane, Lara is badly wounded. She passes out from her injuries and is awoken by a Trinity guard, who she fights and then kills by drowning in a puddle. Pretty grim.
Yeah, and it seems like it really
Affects her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least for about 15 to 20 seconds.
Yes, and then she immediately starts killing again.
Well, she runs off.
It's a taste for it.
A shadowy figure that no doubt you're just about to tell me about.
Indeed, she's startled by a figure in the woods, who she chases and learns is her father, Richard.
But I thought he was dead.
Oh, well, you thought wrong. She spends the night in his cave, and he stitches up her wound. In the morning, she admonishes Richard for his cowardice in hiding from Vogel, and steals his bow and arrow and runs into the woods. She attacks the Trinity camp, killing a number of guards and allowing a slave uprising. While all this is happening, Richard arrives at the entry to Himiko's tomb, where he is met by Vogel. A Mexican standoff ensues, involving Richard, Lara, Vogel, and various Trinity guards. Richard refuses to open the tomb, but Lara does it in order to save Richard's life. The group heads inside and overcomes a number of deadly tomb traps. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. Falling boulders, closing walls, spikes, before eventually finding Himiko's sarcophagus. Lara realises that the hieroglyphs around the tomb depict Himiko as a generous and kind figure, rather than a goddess of death and a contact with the afterlife, as was presumed. After opening the sarcophagus, a Trinity guard reaches inside and immediately dies a violent death, before coming back to life as a kind of raging zombie. Another guard kills him, as Lara points out that Himiko must have been the carrier of a disease to which she was immune, hence people thinking that everyone she touches died. A bit of confusion there before medical science was a thing.
Yeah.
Various fights and gunplay follow. Richard is bitten by a Trinity guard who has been infected and begins to succumb to the illness. He tells Lara to chase Vogel, who has escaped with one of Himiko's fingers, and he stays behind to collapse the tomb by blowing it up with dynamite.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
Yeah. Lara catches Vogel and they fight, and she is able to overpower him and throw him into a pit. Lu Ren's resistance team saves Lara from the collapsed cave, and the group escapes in a hijacked Trinity chopper. Back in London, Lara signs her father's death certificate, inheriting his fortune, but giving power of attorney for Croft Holdings to Anna, the woman from earlier in the film. Lara learns that Croft Holdings owns Trinity, as well as other shady groups mentioned throughout the film, and realises that Anna is probably evil. Lara visits a pawn shop where she sees guns for sale. She finds a pistol she admires before announcing that she'll take two.
That is the worst point of the film, in my opinion.
Really?
That scene, yeah, where she picks up two guns and it says, "I'll take two."
Yes.
In a obvious reference to
The fact that Lara Croft in the games carries two pistols.
yeah, and those are the pistols, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. That was like, I didn't need that, and I think it was like, I think it was just, I don't know, like it just annoyed me.
I quite liked it.
That scene was like something out of Johnny English, and the rest of the film was like
I
relatively
don't
sensible.
think so. I mean, think about the Marvel universe, right? It's kind of like if at the end of Spider-Man, someone was like, You ever thought of shooting webs? And he's like,
You ever thought of swinging from a web?
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
It's like
it's just like a level too cheesy for the rest of the film. It's out of character.
True.
It's out of character with the rest of the film.
I think what it is, Chris, is that you don't recognise the thick levels of fan service that were there throughout the rest of the film, because you're not as much of a Tomb Raider fan as you are a Marvel Universe fan.
Well, this is based on the 2013 video game.
I know,
Tomb Raider,
yeah.
Which you haven't played?
No, have you?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
so,
okay.
if anyone's going to recognise any references to the source material, it's likely to be me, I would argue. And there's quite a few in this, namely all of the plot and most of the characters.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
Great.
Yeah.
Himiko's a play against kind of boss, though, right, in the game?
It's been some time since I played it, but I believe there's some sort of final battle, yeah.
Right.
In the game, it is a supernatural explanation, whereas in this it's like
biomedical science.
Yeah, and it's that I thought was a nice touch, because it's like it would appear supernatural to them at the time.
Yeah,
but
there's a perfectly rational explanation.
Exactly, yeah, which is good because you have like the best of both worlds, really.
Yes, right.
Which is, I think, always the best way to go when it's that sort of archaeological mystery stuff.
Yeah. Whereas, like, say, like Indiana Jones goes down the route of it really was magic after all.
Yeah, but there's like, you know, the plane on the waterfall, that's from the game. The bow and arrow is from the game. The axe that she uses towards the end, you know, that climbing axe, that's from the game. Like, a lot of it is, in fact, even the wound that she suffers, I think that is lifted almost completely from a scene in the game. But not that
is bad necessarily.
No, which I'm sure we'll get onto.
Yeah, for clarity, I am a big fan of Tomb Raider 1 and 2, the games for PS1, which I consider to be among the best video games ever made. Right? And I don't know.
But I think that's probably sort of couched in a healthy amount of nostalgia.
It's not. It really is not. Tomb Raider 2 I played like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's good fun. It's a puzzle game where you sometimes have to shoot tigers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it has very funny dialogue.
Yeah.
Not as funny as next week's movie, Resident Evil, but
No.
we'll come to that, I'm sure, in due time.
Very much so.
Now, what did you think of Tomb Raider?
I thought it was quite good, in the sense that it is a perfectly serviceable action-adventure romp that won't tear up any trees in terms of becoming the most successful film of all time or anything.
Yeah.
And it won't win any awards, but it is a good laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it after precisely 3 alcoholic drinks.
Yes.
And some popcorn, and it was a great experience. A lovely evening.
Kept your attention.
Yeah, exactly. And Alicia Vikander is, by several orders of magnitude, too good for the film.
Yes.
Like, the film does not deserve Alicia Vikander.
No.
But then, you know, that said, her being in it elevates the film
to a level it wouldn't have otherwise been at.
Exactly, right. It's quite funny seeing Dominic West hamming it up.
He was
with, like,
really weird
fake beard and hair and all that sort of thing.
I think he was the worst part of the film for me. I'll come to it later when we talk about
Well, I mean,
specific things.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a nicely constructed film. There's a lot of setup and payoff.
Yeah.
You know, like the MMA stuff towards the start. Yeah. Like, it is almost identical in the way the fight plays out.
Yeah, exactly. And she finally overcomes a particular move because she learns and adapts.
Yeah. The bow and arrow. Like, obviously, you see scenes of her being taught how to use a bow and arrow when she's a kid. Obviously, that plays into it quite heavily.
Yep.
And yeah, like, I think this is a much better, more engaging Lara Croft than Angelina Jolie's Lara Croft,
which was she was just meant to look good, right?
Yeah, well, she was just meant to be like a avatar in the same way that the video game one is, whereas this one, she actually feels like she has a personality and a character.
Yes.
And anyone, and obviously it's worth saying, not that much has been made of Alicia Vikander's quite impressive physical transformation for it. She put on 12 pounds of muscle for the film, and she must only be about £30.
Yeah, exactly.
But like she looks incredible, isn't she?
Those opening shots in the ring are like she's a full athlete.
Yeah,
like,
no, she does look like an athlete,
Yeah.
and I think that lends the physical parts of the film an air of believability that you wouldn't otherwise have if it was just a model. And she did a lot of her own stunts, I believe. And of course, anyone listening who thinks that, for example, she shouldn't have been picked because her boobs are not big enough, you can feel free to stop listening, delete the podcast from your phone, and never listen ever again.
Because you think her boobs are plenty big enough, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my preference would have been polygonal, like pyramid-shaped boobs.
Yeah.
Alas, technology hasn't caught up with 1996 yet.
No, exactly. I just have to say the movie took me by surprise.
Yes.
Because going into it, I was absolutely raging to you about
how much you were going to hate it.
Yeah, because I hadn't played the 2013 games because frankly, I don't give a fuck. They're a remake of a game which...
Well, they're not really a remake at all. They're like an origin story.
That is unnecessary.
I agree it's unnecessary. I agree that it's unnecessary for the original games to have an origin story, but they are a decent pair of action games in their own right, for sure.
Okay, I thought basically it was unadaptable.
Okay.
And I didn't want anyone to adapt it.
Yeah.
Because I would only accept an adaptation if it was Lara Croft as a woman in a cave who shoots some tigers, climbs ledges, finds small jade dragons.
Yeah. In silence.
Yeah. Uncovers increasingly complex and highly powered weaponry, which she then turns on humans. Mm-hmm. Uncovers a terrible secret society and fights against the man who somehow turns himself into a dragon, a ghost, a god of some kind. For no reason other than the thrill of adventure, right? Mm-hmm. That's all Lara Croft ever did, right? There was no she's seeking a lost memory of her father. It's just she's just a woman who likes doing adventures.
Right.
That's enough, right? And at the end of each game, you would end up with her placing a dagger or an amulet in her trophy cabinet, and she's like, nice.
Basically, the spirit of English colonialism.
Yes,
that's what you like.
It's. Well, it's the idea that she went through all this crazy shit, and just for the fun of it, basically, she just wanted to.
Okay, yeah.
And colonialism's got nothing to do with it.
Well, it does have something to do with it if it's a very well-off English person going to foreign lands, mainly in Asia, and stealing artifacts and taking them home for them to sit in a
trophy
private museum.
Well, she does generally find them in a cave no one's ever going to find and stuff.
Right, okay. Yeah, well, you justify it however you like, mate.
Mate, it's the movie, okay, is this a good adaptation of a video game then?
Well, I think that it is based on having played the Tomb Raider 2013 version.
That's not really a video game though, is it, mate? It's a movie where you press circle sometimes.
Well, that's an exaggeration, but I know the point you're getting at.
It's a game on rails in the same way as something like
it's
Uncharted.
Not, well,
I don't want to alienate.
Spoken as someone who has, spoken like a true person who hasn't played it.
But okay, am I wrong? I don't want to alienate.
You are to some extent wrong. Yeah.
I don't want to alienate our non-game fan listeners.
Yeah.
But there's a game called Uncharted, which I do find to be a game I have played, and it is a game on rails. You just go scene to scene. It will tell you what to do.
It is right. So. Yes, the 2013 version is heavily drawn from the Uncharted games, which are basically like Indiana Jones with guns and
it tells
increasingly.
There's no thought involved.
That's not entirely true. They're not challenging games, particularly. There are the same Tomb Raider-esque puzzles dotted throughout the games, but it's not. I know the point that you're getting at, which is that there are sort of dramatic action set pieces sprinkled throughout in which your interaction is to some extent limited to running and jumping.
What do they call it when you have to quick
time events? Yeah, well, it's not exactly that, because that would be, where it's literally, you're just watching a cutscene and every so often a button comes up on screen that you have to press.
That's how I imagine it.
It's not like that, though. It's not like that. Generally not. The 2013 Tomb Raider films as well, they are... they draw on those Uncharted games.
Yeah.
But they also draw heavily on Hollywood blockbusters. Because, obviously, as technology has become significantly better since the 90s,
Right.
they are able to construct stories and believable characters and, you know, make it engaging on that level in a way that they never could in the PlayStation era, because everyone was made out of like 5 square blocks.
Right.
And so in that sense, it succeeds where the previous Lara Croft series of Tomb Raider films failed. But that's because those films were aping a type of game that's impossible to translate to cinemas, where it's slow, methodical, you know, jumping around, puzzle solving in silence with very limited story, right? That wouldn't make for a good film.
Wouldn't it? Okay, can you not imagine a film where that would be interesting?
Okay, that wouldn't make for a appealing mass market film, right? It might make, if you had the right people on it, you could have like an interesting, you know...
high concept indie film, right?
Right, exactly, yeah. But the ones that... The series of games that this film is adapting are, you know, so clearly influenced by Hollywood blockbusters in the first place that there's not nearly as much distance to cross. And it basically just means that it's reusing Hollywood film tropes that the games were copying in the first place.
Right, okay.
So it's now like the snake eating its tail.
Yeah.
Because the games got sophisticated enough that they could ape Hollywood action set pieces, and now people are making films of those games, which are just Hollywood films. And so basically this is just a good Hollywood action adventure film.
Yes.
And it just so happens to be tied into a game series that itself is influenced by Hollywood films.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I agree in that. I mean, if you compare it with other video game adaptations, say Doom, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, anything like that, this has stakes, which I think the others don't, because you can't just put a character from a game in a movie and assume that people are going to connect with it in the same way as they do in the game, right? Because you play as that character, you have a vested interest in them not dying,
right?
Which you don't get when it's a third person shot from all angles. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but then the reason you care about Lara Croft in this is because she's given a character.
Yeah, well, yes.
But she's given the same thing in the 2013 Tomb Raider film.
Okay. Well, I mean, you care about her in this because at the beginning of the film, she's literally just a normal person, and who then somehow inherits assets similar to like Bruce Wayne's.
Yeah. And
then rejects them, which makes her all the more like likable and relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, the fan service isn't like hammed up and spread on thick. There's, as you say, there's elements taken completely from the games. I haven't played those games, so I didn't notice those complete remake elements. But there were subtle things that I noticed. Some are obvious, like her clothes and her backpack and stuff like that. Some very subtle, like when she jumps onto the back of that flatbed in that chase scene at the beginning. The she makes is like, honestly, it's like from the game.
Right.
It's like, it gives you a flashback to Tomb Raider 2 or something.
Okay, fine.
It's very strange.
I'll have to take your word for that.
Like, it was screaming when she's like falling down levels in like a really shrill and over the top way. Those are kind of like Tomb Raider elements. I think, because it's like you said before, it's a game which is more or less in silence. So the things that are sounds they are iconic because they're all you have.
Yeah. I think to me the place that a lot of video game film adaptations fall down is when they try and sort of somehow adapt mechanics of games into the film. Okay. And so, you know, you have like, for example, in Doom, it's basically characters going through, you know, untold numbers of demons, shooting them all, and there's even a scene where you see through a character's viewpoint in an obvious like aping of the first person thing.
Shooter,
So like they fall down when it's like that because that isn't a replacement for playing the game, whereas this doesn't try and, you know, Basically, back in the day when they started adapting video games into movies,
Yeah.
all they had to adapt were the mechanics, right?
Yes, right.
Because you would just have...
No story.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas now, there are sophisticated games with sophisticated stories, which are closer to films than they are, than their predecessors were. For example, like you could watch a Last of Us film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah, because that is mainly about the story.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and like even the mechanics of The Last of Us, the way you play the game informs the world in which it's set. It's a lot of like crafting, a lot of sort of vicious violence and sneaking about, right?
Yeah.
So those
and
are
horrible monsters.
right, yeah, and those are all things that could be adapted, right?
Yeah.
But that's because the main, thing to keep you interested is the story.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and the relationship between the characters.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas previously the technology didn't exist to do a complicated story, and so you would have Lara Croft jumping around, or Super Mario Brothers, or Doom.
Well, Max Payne had a very good story, but the movie for that is not so good.
But then, is it that good a story?
It's just, I suppose, it's just
it's a good game.
Yeah.
But that's because you can jump around in slow motion and shoot things. Right? It's not a good story, really, because it's just a man whose family die, and which is like the plot line of
The Punisher.
It's like a million
Mad Max.
films in other media.
Yeah, fair point. I mean, there were extended sequences in this where it just tracks her in the center of the frame without cutting, and it feels like all she can do is grab, climb, jump, swim, which are all the mechanics of the Tomb Raider games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't do anything else in those games except shoot,
Yeah.
There's no like LA Noire style like dialogue or like interrogations. I think there is actually in Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness.
Right.
Or Tomb Raider, one of them you have to go around like Paris interrogating people about this murderer called the Monstrum. It's very, very bad. But it wouldn't be a How to Survive episode without me complaining about something.
Go on.
Dominic West saying Sprout, I'll Sprout is basically like the worst thing in the film.
Yeah. I aside from the mid-credit sequence, I agree with you.
Yeah, Sprout. It's like so forced.
Yeah. Doesn't feel...
Is he in the game?
No.
That's what bugs me. Is basically he's a reason to put Lara on the island, but that's about it. Like what make the games compelling is the fact that Lara seems to be wealthy, but at the end of the day, it's just a woman climbing shit alone.
Yeah.
And she might well die in that cave and never be found. Right. And it's terrifying. That thought is just like, I really don't want her to die.
Yeah.
Right?
So what you want from a Tomb Raider film is basically the descent, but one woman on her own.
Yeah.
And like she never talks and
uncovers weird shit.
And you don't even like know or care why she's there.
Yeah.
It's just
it doesn't matter why she's there. In the games you're not like, why is she here?
Can you see why that wouldn't work as a film though? Like there's no, that would just be a woman. It would be basically a documentary about a woman caving and then
finds some stuff. That's all it is, right? She finds in Tomb Raider 2, she's like exploring around the Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
She finds a door because she just comes across it.
Right.
And this guy's like, "Oh, what do you like?" She's not looking for anything. I don't think. She's just like there.
Okay.
And then she uncovers a whole like plot, and she finds out that there's this dagger that can turn people into dragons. And that's so when you say like she's stealing people's artifacts, she's like taking it and keeping it safe to stop people using it to turn into dragons.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Sort of, yeah.
She's
Again,
like,
I haven't played them. This is based... I can only talk about the ones that I have played, really, which this film is based on.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, the father relationship was pretty mundane, and every beat in it was telegraphed from like the start of the film. Yeah. It would have been worse if it had turned out that he knew what was happening all along, and it was a big twist, like he was in on it. But that kind of does happen through like his colleague.
Yeah, what I would say is that you don't cast Kristen Scott Thomas in a role for her to have finished her role within the first 10 minutes of the film. So I was like, all right, well, she's the villain.
Yeah.
Like she's the secret villain.
Yeah. If I could sum up one line, I think, in the film, which gives away why I don't like it as much as I could.
Right.
It would be you messed with the wrong family, which is what Lara
Yes.
says before she kicks Matthias down the hole.
Yes.
Like, in the games, and if this is a true Tomb Raider property, the family has nothing to do with it. Lara
Yeah.
Croft is the game. She is the...
It doesn't really have much to do with it in the new ones either. It is just
It's a bad film line.
yeah,
And
it is
it's-
a
yeah.
very written film line,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
If she'd said, like, you've messed with the wrong girl, you
Yeah.
messed with the wrong woman,
yeah,
you
or
messed with
just
the wrong Tomb Raider.
fuck off.
Yeah, anything. No, don't say anything. Like, the
Yeah.
point is, it suggests that the Croft dynasty is something that
Yeah,
you've never
yeah.
seen before. Like,
Sure.
It's not about her trying to ape her father's
Mm.
footsteps. It's about the thrill of adventure kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is it better or worse? Without like being a Tomb Raider property, do you think? If you renamed it Skull, if you renamed it Cave Invader
Right.
and called her
I don't-
Laura Croft,
I mean, I don't have much, attachment to the Tomb Raider brand,
Mm.
so it doesn't really matter to me. But I'm not sure it would change the quality of the film, really.
no,
No. I don't think it would drastically improve it. It doesn't feel to me like this film is enslaved to any particular, like factor just by virtue of it being a Tomb Raider film. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like if you did rename everyone and rename the film, people would say this reminds me of Tomb Raider. But
Yeah.
that's kind of
But that's fine,
about
like
as
that-
far as they've gone with it as a remake anyway.
Yeah.
It's based on Tomb Raider.
Again, not if you've played the
2013,
one
yeah.
that it's actually based on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which you
Yeah.
need to do, really.
really.
Well, yeah.
Is it
Because
good?
it's not. Well, it is good. Yeah, it's a good game, and also you keep comparing it to a series that's now like 24 years old or whatever. That it's obviously not based on. Like if you played the new ones, you'd be like, oh, like in the new one, she is shipwrecked on the island of Yamatai because she's there to try and find the body of Himiko and stop Trinity getting it.
Yeah,
And
that's more compelling than she's there to avenge her father or whatever, or find her father's missing. Like that's more interesting to me.
Well, yeah, but it's basically fundamentally exactly the same storyline.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
there's even a scene in which she gets kidnapped and then escapes in a bit of chaos, and then is forced to kill someone for the first time, and it emotionally affects her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much an
A remake.
adaptation of that
Yeah.
of that game.
Great. I think I've got the game. I've never played it.
It's good. You should.
Okay, I will. If you were Lara Croft,
Mm-hmm.
how would you survive in the film?
Well, this is more a tip for what's his name? Matthias Vogel.
Yep.
So-
good old Vogel.
Yeah. So in these sorts of films,
Mm.
the villain always makes this particular mistake, and they made it when we covered Raiders of the Lost Ark as well.
Mhm.
And that's like they sort of half believe the myth, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So they go, oh yeah, Himiko, she was this person, she had this power, and she's buried here.
Mm-hmm.
But even though all the myths say anyone who comes into contact with her will die
Yeah.
instantly,
Yeah.
I'm going to go looking for her, right? So either believe all of the myth and
Yeah.
go, right,
We'll definitely die if we do this.
yeah, like that's something to be avoided.
Yeah.
If I come, because I will die if I come into contact with her. Like they just stop at the bit at which it becomes inconvenient. It's like the bit in Raiders of the Lost Ark where they're like, oh, what about the thing where there's like beams of light coming out of the Ark and everyone's dead? It's like, oh, we're just not gonna sort of think about that.
Yeah. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
worry
it's
about
a bizarre like cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
That these people
They're
have.
so mission focused that they just ignore the fact that they will definitely unleash
Yeah.
hell if they do it.
It's like either you believe the legends and the artifacts are dangerous and to be avoided because they'll kill you, or they're fake and they're not going to kill you, but then they're worthless as a weapon, which
But-
is presumably what they're after.
But I would say in Vogel's defense, he is just following orders.
Yeah, but like, fine, apply it to Trinity.
Mm.
Like, are they gonna?
Could it be that Trinity knew it was a disease and they wanted to use it as a bioweapon?
Possibly, but then you would send people who were equipped to do that.
Yes.
You wouldn't just go, "Oh, get this thing. We're not going to tell you why," because it will never get back to you.
No,
The weapon will kill the person.
that's true. I mean, that brings me neatly to my first survival tip: wear gloves.
Right? Yeah. What? Just at all times?
Yeah, anytime.
It's quite hot where they are, isn't it?
Rubber gloves. Just keeps them in your pocket. If
Or
you're
latex
handling
gloves. You mean?
anything,
Right.
any hand covering.
Okay.
If I said to you, "Here's a corpse,"
Mm-hmm.
you're going into a tomb
Yeah.
where there will be a decomposed body. We do not know what's going to be in there, but we do know that when people come into contact with it, that they die.
Yeah.
You take gloves, wouldn't you?
I mean, it don't.
A mask.
Why don't they just carry it out in the coffin?
It's a long way to carry it.
Yeah.
How do they get out so neatly? Because they got in and then all the doors shut behind them. Bit of movie right in there for you. Just show them at the exit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of know what you mean. Yeah, they should have worn gloves. It's a little bit. Yeah. Who is this advice for, though?
I guess
the mercenaries.
Vogel.
No, but Vogel doesn't touch it.
He does. He snaps off a finger.
Yeah, but he doesn't touch it because otherwise he'd die, wouldn't he?
That's true.
So he must have been wearing gloves.
Or like use his sleeve or something.
Oh no, he uses pliers, doesn't he? He's got like a pair of pliers and he
Right.
breaks the
He
finger.
brought
off.
pliers but no gloves.
Yeah,
Right, sensible.
yeah. And the mercenaries, they're there as just muscle, basically, aren't they?
That's all they are,
and then
yeah.
they're asked to
Just to
carry up a body, and it's like,
Yeah.
and then they die.
desecrating graves is what movie thugs do best, I suppose.
Yeah.
My second tip
Mm-hmm.
is for Lou Ren,
Okay.
and that's just attend any business class,
Right.
right? Because he's not very good at business, is he?
Okay. Go on.
So Lara shows up
Yeah.
and says, "Oh, you need some money, don't you?" And he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, I've got some money here." And he goes, "Right, great, off we go then."
Well, he says, "What's in the other boot?"
Meaning more money.
Yeah, I presume so.
Yeah, but he's got a merchant vessel.
Yeah.
He could go on land and be like, "Oh, I'll take all your cargo to a place for money,
Yeah, but
and then come back and do it again." And
has he not done that and then just gambled it away?
Sure, but don't. I mean,
Well,
who's
don't
to
be
say
a gambler.
why won't he lose Lara?
Yeah, well, that's a gambling addiction's not necessarily going to be solved by going to a business class, is it?
No, but it's what I'm saying is he's going to get, let's say, let's call it $500 off Lara.
Right.
He could probably get more than that for stocking an entire ship with cargo and taking it somewhere else.
Right. Okay.
Is it a fishing boat or is it a cargo boat?
I'm not sure.
No, it's just a big boat, basically. A boat that's big enough to carry more than one person.
Yeah.
On
a
one
boat
trip.
a boat that's big enough to go out into the deep sea, but small enough to be piloted by one person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's more. You wouldn't have a boat like
I would
that.
argue that Lou Ren's problems run deeper than just having a lack of business acumen.
Right.
Because he's still got the boat, he's got a mooring, so he must be doing something right. Yeah, yeah. What happened? How did his boat get back? Because it's cool. It's the same name of the boat that Lara's dad went on.
Yeah, the Endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which presumably got shipwrecked
Yeah.
on Yamato.
Yeah, but don't think about it, mate.
All right, okay. Fine.
That's the sort of question that, how did they get out of the tomb? How did the boat get back?
Well, my next point is...
where did Richard Whitcroft get that bow? I don't know.
Don't worry about it.
Why did Vogel say he killed him?
Yeah, that I don't understand.
Yeah.
This ties very neatly into my second point, which is get better at killing people.
Right, yeah.
Right? Because Vogel thinks that he's killed Richard Croft, but he hasn't.
Yeah.
And if he had, there'd be no bow, and Lara wouldn't have been able to launch her successful assault on the Labour camp.
An uprising.
Right? So what Vogel should have done is actually kill Richard Croft and not just sort of pretend or say that he had and then forgot about it or whatever it was that happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Island madness or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Second point, if Lara had killed if Lara had killed Vogel when she sneaks into his tent initially to get the radio, is it a satellite phone?
What's that about? Yeah.
Basically, the second that she sees him, kill him.
Yeah.
Right. Then the whole third act of the film doesn't happen because Vogel's not there to interrupt Richard Croft. Richard Croft just looks at the temple and then goes on his way or whatever. And without a leader, the mercenaries have no incentive to fight. And everyone goes home happily ever after.
Yeah. I mean,
similarly,
she does end up killing him anyway, so it just...
Yeah, but it's just very truncated and her dad ends up dead.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
If Vogel killed Lara, then then there's the bit where Vogel's holding her at gunpoint and threatening her dad.
Yep.
Just kill her.
Shoot both of them.
Yeah, shoot both of them.
Yeah.
Kill them both.
Yeah.
Right. I know he's like, oh, you can help me get into the tomb. You'll get in there eventually.
Yeah.
You just blow
it
your
up
way
with dynamite.
It's just one door.
When they built that door, dynamite wasn't a thing.
Yeah. And we see it. It's thin, and there's a void on the other side.
Exactly.
In which case, like,
dig
even one loose bit is probably going to, like, it's presumably held in place by, its own weight, if you see what I mean.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, just shoot both of them, blow the door up, go in there, collect Himiko, and die that way instead of at the hands of Lara.
Yes.
Job done.
I see what you mean. I mean, one of my points
just basically people don't kill each other.
Shoot Lara.
Yeah.
Right? When he's like doing his whole like, I killed your father.
Yeah.
And then she just wanders into the camp down. He's like, Lara Croft, I'll get you. Yeah. Or shoot in the head. Fucking cut her head off. Just anything.
Chuck her back out into the sea when she gets knocked unconscious.
Any number of things you can do.
Yeah.
Final point, and you might call this a typical
film
mealy-mouthed.
Right. No, sometimes we like the mealy-mouthed ones.
Yeah. Don't go to the island.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Advice there for Richard and for Lara.
Well, yes and no. They are both successful in preventing the unleashing of a dreadful biological terror.
But they also uncovered it. They caused it to be a threat in the first place.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. Would Vogel have found it eventually? That's
the
threat,
not.
Isn't it? That's the ticking clock in the background.
It appears not. It appears that he's been there for a number of years and is going mad by not being able to find it.
He is going mad. Yes, that is right. Yeah, I it's not that mealy-mouthed. I don't have a huge problem with what you've just said.
Because the reason Richard Ashcroft from The Verve goes there in the first place is because his wife died and he wants to contact the dead using the goddess of death, Himiko, which is obviously absurd.
Yeah, but grief does funny things. I mean, that's a bit of a shame. That plot line, which I'd forgotten completely, was never paid off.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been nice, like, just as he's on the verge of death.
Yeah. So in a way, I get to see your mother now.
Yeah, or even if he's about to pull the trigger and he looks up and his wife is standing there, and he knows that he's about to die.
I think that's the sort of thing where we would go, that is a huge weird note that the film doesn't otherwise suggest.
Maybe. Well, it'd be open to interpretation.
Because the mother isn't shown in the rest of the film. So
that is true, yeah.
It'd be like something from Phantom Thread or
just
something.
Alicia Vikander in old lady makeup.
Yeah. Great stuff. Okay, well that's that. Thank you.
Tombs raided.
Yes.
What's next week, Joe?
Well, we're keeping video game season going.
Yeah. We're keeping our fingers on the joystick. We're keeping the memory cards in place. It's come to a stop and it said, insert disc 2 to continue.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Make sure you've downloaded the patch ahead of next week.
Save game here. Load next Wednesday morning.
Please.
The movie...
Yeah,
is I mean, How to Survive is where evil resides.
Yeah,
so it seems fitting.
Resident Evil, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes, not that one.
No, different Paul
Anderson.
Yeah, it does star Daniel Day-Lewis though, so look forward to that.
Does it?
No.
Why did you say
You've watched the film?
Yeah, I watched it like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ian Glenn's in it.
Yeah.
Who's he?
He's in the later films.
Oh right. Absurd. Why would someone lower themselves.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Resident Evil and what we thought about it next week.
Mm-hmm.
We had an email in though, Chris. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com is our address, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
and as the listeners surely know as well. But someone has emailed him. Someone had the temerity to email us.
Mm-hmm.
And forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but this comes from Wouter Vermeyen.
So I was just laughing at the idea of you going, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but whoa!
Yeah, it's a bit like that, but it's Wouter Vermeyen.
Right.
I'm going with that. He's emailing about The Ritual, which we covered
Okay.
last week.
Yeah.
Or
So
the week before.
is it spoilerific, this email?
It's a little spoilerific, but not massively.
Okay.
If you don't want any plot points for The Ritual,
Yeah.
skip ahead a little bit, but this doesn't really give anything away.
Okay.
Hey guys, love the podcast. I don't know if the movie specifies it. I haven't checked back, but the Wikipedia article mentions that they are doing the Sarek part of the Kungsleden, which is a walk that they take in The Ritual.
Okay.
I've hiked through Sarek myself, both the park and the Kungsleden Trail. That high north and in the mountains, you wouldn't find a woodland like that.
Okay.
The climate is too harsh for a proper forest like the one they show.
Right.
At best, you get these people-sized birch trees. So I would posit they're simply going to the actual Sarek area would have saved them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is exactly the sort of email I love
Yeah.
receiving, by the way,
Yes.
because that is very succinctly and basically taking the film down in a very well-written manner.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
Thank
There's
you.
absolutely no comeback for that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Wouter.
Yeah.
If that's not how you pronounce your name, I apologise. Please
Yeah.
email in and correct me.
Yeah.
And if you enjoyed what you heard, the rest of you
Mm-hmm.
listeners, and you've got thoughts on how you'd survive Tomb Raider or next week's movie Resident Evil, do get in touch. HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com.
Yeah, you can also get in touch on Twitter @HowToSurvivePod. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HowToSurvivePod.
Yeah, some great stuff on there. And if you like reading stupid YouTube comments from people who just are
Children.
yes, children.
Children with an affinity for serial killers.
Yes, so it would seem. If you've liked what you've heard, leave us a 5-star review
Yeah.
on iTunes or wherever you do get your podcasts. It does help us reach a wider audience.
Mm-hmm.
And until next week,
Yeah. You messed with the wrong podcast.
yep, better line than the one in the film. Because if you'd said you messed with the wrong family, it would have as
Yeah.
much weight and relevance to
Yeah.
the series as that does.
What if I said, I'll take 2?
Yeah, fine. I quite like the line. I don't see the problem.
I do. Goodbye.